welcome in on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline via Zoom, Fesi Sitake, the wide receivers coach for BYU football. Fesi, first things first. I know you're a really good golfer, but there are some good golfers on that staff. Who's the best golfer on the coaching staff right now?
Oh, you can't do that, man. I don't know. Golf is an interesting game because anyone can. There's enough guys who are good enough that you can beat anyone on any given day. But I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. You're going to have to ask other people.
Boo! Hey, we know you're good, though, because you got a hole-in-one, and the Wall Street Journal even included a mention online about it. So is that one of the greatest athletic accomplishments of your life, or what?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I've been waiting for that moment forever. I played with quite a few people who have at least claimed to have had a hole-in-one and were trash golfers. I'm like, come on, how do these guys have holes-in-one? So it was an awesome experience, way more adrenaline than I could have imagined, for golf. And then, so in terms of your question of who's the best golfer on the staff, I don't know if I can ask that, but I can't say. I think I'm the only one with a hole-in-one. So.
Oh, snap.
That's pretty good. Do we need to work on the interior design of your office? Do you have anything in there? We can't see anything on. What's going on, man?
Right up here to my right, I got all the pictures. I've got Cody Hoffman, Austin Collie. I've got some Mitch Matthews. I've got some good pictures, but you're not worthy to see my office right now. So.
Wow. Shots fired out of the gate. I don't even think they'd let us in anyway with COVID. But
yeah. A guy gets a hole-in-one and everything changes.
Jeez.
It looks dark in there, so I was showing you my blinds in the back. You guys look dark in that room.
Hot in here. Man.
Oh, Fesi, we're obviously excited that football is approaching. I can't believe we're essentially 10 weeks away from the scheduled start of BYU in Utah. When I bring up that number, do you feel more panic or more excitement?
More excitement, especially during these crazy times, man. Like just the more we get out, the more of things I do that bring me a sense of normalcy, the more excited I get, just because it's crawling out of these this madness and kind of into what to me is going to be normalcy, which is a football season. So definitely nothing but excitement there, and I can't wait for it.
Let's talk about your guys in a second, but how do you anticipate, and I know you guys are conversing and everyone's conversing about how we're going to make this work. Do you have any concerns or I guess, how do you feel about trying to manage COVID-19 and yet still play football?
I think on our end, we're great. We're ready. A lot of this just comes down to teaching and education and letting the guys kind of educating them on the reality of what could happen. And then there's the other side of things, which is the entertainment side, the fan side. I just hope that it gets to a point where if people are able to attend and watch, that they feel comfortable doing so. And if they don't, I completely get it. But for those that are there, that we're still able to kind of inject some excitement into the atmosphere, because you guys know as well as anyone, like that's what a lot of these guys thrive off of is that environment, that atmosphere to play. But in a worst case scenario where we don't play in front of people, we trust that these and believe that these guys will be ready to go because they love the game. So regardless of the circumstances, I think all of it just comes down to educating these guys on the different scenarios that could happen, so that they're ready for whatever comes.
BYU wide receivers coach Fesi Sitake with us on BYU Sports Nation. You lost a lot of experience last year. We've talked about this before. Now that your guys have had the summer, and a unique summer at that, to go on, how have they gotten better? How have you helped them get better?
I think there's a major blessing in disguise with their spring ball being cut short. And I say a blessing, and for those who actually handled it the right way. This was a great opportunity for guys to be intrinsically motivated, to do things on their own. And, when you lose a bunch of seniors, I think it calls for a time to kind of step up, look in the mirror and say, all right, like, this is my time to take the bull by the horns and go. And so, my worry would have been if I had a bunch of experience and we have downtime, there's a wave of guys, a pretty group that would probably be like, I'm not I'm not going to get a lot of playing time or catches this year. Maybe it's a good time to just take a little vacation and wait for my time. And so the fact that I lost a bunch of leadership and we have had this pandemic hit where there's so much downtime, I think that's why my guys are getting better, is because they are all motivated to fill in those roles, a major role that we've lost. And so I'm really excited. I know great progress has been made. We've obviously been able to meet and do meetings and stuff, but I'm just really excited to see these guys and the growth that they've made, because I know it's been a great one. There's a lot of driven guys in that room.
We saw and heard the growth from Gunnar Romney just in the way that he can express himself more than when he was a freshman. He's kind of shy, wouldn't say a lot. Yeah. And that was a great conversation we had with him earlier in the program. He's a guy that could be one of the top guys. And Neil Pau'u's back, which is great. And Dax Milne has shown a lot of progress, the guy that you essentially brought from Weber State, and others. Let's discuss where you think the leadership of this group is. Who are those guys?
I think you named those three. They're the guys who have the most game time, playing experience. They have seniority on the team. And most importantly, I feel that they have the characteristics to be great leaders. You know, all three of those guys in their own way, they're not the most, vocal guys. When you think of a charismatic vocal guy in recent history, you think of Micah Simon last year, right? And he was great and was phenomenal for our room. But then you have a guy like Talon Shumway, who was the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and was very quiet, led by example, was everyone called him grandpa in the room because he was truly the senior in the room. And so I think these guys are right in the middle, of that spectrum. And I'm just excited for what they bring. It's been really fun speaking about leadership to those guys and not forcing any, roles and just kind of being themselves and taking the lead a little bit more. And I think they've responded well, and I know they'll continue to.
Fesi, who's the outspoken guy in the wide receivers room this year? Because Gunnar doesn't seem like he's that type of personality, and Neil doesn't seem that way. So is it Dax or is it somebody else?
The most outspoken person probably is Keanu Hill. He's kind of got the most, maybe it's a Texas thing, he lives by Micah. And so maybe the water they drink down there causes them to just be a little more spunky. So, but Keanu's probably the more outspoken guy. But of the three I mentioned, gosh, I don't know, that they're all kind of the same in just their reservation and stuff. So.
Yeah, as long as they perform on the field, they could be completely quiet off. As long as they score touchdowns, it's all good. It's all good. You can be loud off, but nothing on it. Whatever. Let's talk about some of the newcomers. You mentioned Keanu Hill and a Chris Jackson, a JC transfer that Gunnar Romney said is fast. And then Cody Epps had an incredible career. Are those three of the top newcomers coming in?
Yeah, they're three of some of the top. There's a huge pool of guys. You mentioned Keanu and Chris Jackson. You got guys like Devita Ika who played. You got Cody Epps who's coming in. The other two freshmen, Miles Davis, Terrence Fall. Talmadge Gunther has made a huge transformation off season in terms of, his body composition. He's become faster, and he's experienced and knows the playbook well. You got Luke Andrada, who I know a lot of people are excited about to see, how he emerges. So there's a pretty solid group of guys that can be competing for easily the 4, 5, 6 spot and very well break into that 1, 2, 3. I'm not completely closing that off, but I do want those guys to feel that if you want to crack into that top, you got a lot of work to do.
How you mentioned 4, 5, 6. How many do you use reasonably, assuming no one gets hurt?
I think 5's a healthy number for me. You can see that first year, 2 years ago, there were about 8 guys I could have played, and I usually rotated through 7, which it's too much. And I felt it called for it at that time. But I think me settling into my role and knowing this offense and the group I have, I feel 5's a pretty healthy number. I would like 3 guys to kind of get the majority and then kind of have a couple guys on deck ready to go.
BYU football is looking to take the next step, specifically in the red zone. The offense had great success at times, but ran into some problems within the red zone. So how can your group, your receivers, help out the quarterbacks so that red zone efficiency gets higher?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've been watching a lot of that just as a staff. And so just from a broad perspective, those self-inflicted penalties are what killed us. We had a lot of penalties that happened in the red zone, just dumb mistakes. And we know as coaches, it starts from us too in getting that discipline down. And so in terms of our room, the biggest thing is just being ready when your name is called and making those plays, not doing anything to set our offense back in terms of penalties and pre-snap mistakes. And so, we gotta smell blood when we get into the red zone, and that's kind of what I want to, give to my guys. When we get down there, you gotta amp it up, get ready to do your role, whatever that might be, and get ready to help us get into the end zone.
Both of the volleyball programs have the crowd do a kind of shark gator clap. They play Jaws, gator clap. They smell blood in the water. Do you need the fans to do that in the red zone? Maybe smell blood in the water. Is that a thing that would help the receivers?
That's a great project. I think you could take upon yourself this fall.
All they need to do is play Jaws. Everyone will start doing it.
There you go. You guys should get that up on the Jumbotron. You lead it, Jerem. Let them know. Just
red zone,
lead the charge.
blood. Let's go. Yeah.
I like shark, by the way, too, not the gator. You got to stay away from that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the pros and cons of an extended-ish fall camp. Right. It's not technically extend fall camp, but it basically is. Right. What are the pros and cons of what's going to happen in July in an attempt to sort of make up for spring ball and get everyone in shape and ready for the season?
Yeah, I think the major pro is just the obvious is an early jump on things. We lost time, with spring ball. And so to be able to get a quick jump, to get the guys back in, acclimated a little bit, some of these freshmen, these newcomers who need to know the playbook, I think that's where you gain your biggest value in an early start. And then the con is just is the burnout effect and making sure that we manage these guys, because as much as we would love to use every single day of the 6-week period and grind them, you can't. It's just they're not programmed. Their bodies aren't used to that, and so we got to be able to know how to manage that. And so there's definitely more pros than cons to this. I'm glad we have it, and I'm confident that as a staff, we'll be able to monitor that time the right way.
Fesi, as we let you go, I want to bring up a tweet that you sent out about 5 days ago, and I quote, "It's one thing when you've had a song stuck in your head for 7 hours and you can't stop whistling/humming it. It's another thing when that song is frozen into the unknown." Have you overcome this song in your head yet?
I did until you just brought it back up now. So the rest of the day, I'm going to be miserable now, and it's your fault.
The struggle is real.
Just think of Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
Fesi, great stuff, man. Great to catch up with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Always good to talk.
BYU wide receivers coach Fesi Sitake on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why, we show how.
Guess I can't go to his office. Jeez.